rain this afternoon. Winds will be easterly at 10 to 15, increasing late today. A few showers tonight, lows near 80. Partly sunny with isolated showers, upper 80s tomorrow. A few clouds tomorrow night, nighttime lows 78 to 82. Isolated showers Thursday, upper 80s. Explore how slavery affected Concord and its surrounding areas on Concord's Secret History. That's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. on WTJX-TV, Channel 12.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And good Tuesday morning, and welcome to another edition of Analyze This here on your NPR station in the U.S. Virgin Islands, WTJX FM 93.1 with yours truly, Neville James. Beautiful day in paradise. Got morning shower. Cool us off, so everything is good. We got the St. Croix Foundation here in the house. Big shots galore. St. Dunstan's definitely in effect this morning. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know. Good morning, Lilli Cox. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm well. Good to see you.
Always. Chermaine Hobson. How are you doing?
I am fine, classmate.
That's good. And Deanna James. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How you doing?
Come on, enjoy. Kids count, huh?
Yes.
Tomorrow's a big day?
Tomorrow's the big day.
Yeah, go right ahead, man. Let me get out of the way.
So on our last visit, you invited us to come back the day before the release of our 2025 Kids Count Databook. And so we are people of our word. And so we're here really excited about the conversation we hope we'll have tomorrow with all of the participants and registrants who have signed up for the virtual release. A lot of really important data that has been collected, and important decisions that I think our territory needs to make as a result of those, of the data that will be presented.
What is Kids Count?
So I'm going to let Lilli kind of take the lead on explaining how important Kids Count is, not just to the Virgin Islands, but to the entire nation.
Yeah. Excuse me. So, yeah, NEKC Foundation, they're a national funder, and they give a grant to every state and every territory to conduct an annual report on the well-being of children and families. And it is used by just about everyone. It's used by any public or nonprofit agency, even some private that are writing grants. They're used to inform policy, to develop programming. It is one of the most valuable resources we actually have in the territory. And we at the foundation, we became the new stewards of Kids Count in 2020, but it's been in the territory for over 20 years. And I will say that when I started working at the St. Croix Foundation over 20 years ago, it was one of the first books that I was introduced to. It was always on my desk. And this year in particular, we are really lifting up the data because it's a bona fide data report with, probably over 50 graphs and charts and data points. And I think that this year we're real excited because we don't just look at that data as numbers. We look at it as actually signals from our children, signals about our community, and in actually, I should say, 4 basic domains: economic well-being, family and community, education, and health. Those are the 4 national standard domains that we report in. Here we have added 2 more domains, on Opportunity Youth, and Chermaine can talk more about that, but that's a very specific population, ages 16 to 24. And we've also incorporated nonprofit data. We know that our nonprofits are serving our children and families. We know that they are collecting data, and so we have incorporated community bright spots as well. So we have 6 domains, and it really is, I think, the only sort of comprehensive repository on child well-being.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want us to tell you what we do to collect it.
That's a nice question.
It's a good question.
So what we do is that every year we set up meetings with our nonprofit and government agencies, and then we provide them with an indicator list of the type of data that we need to get the best information to our community. We also try to align our data with the national data sets for any EKC, but we also look for things in the territory that would help us to understand our children better. So what we send out these indicator lists, and then we call and make sure, and we send them out like 6-7 months in advance to let them know that this is the information that we truly need. And we contact them. We ask them if they need support. They, a lot of them respond immediately when we get the data. Our data analysts, Dr. Saul Santiago and Lori Blake, they look at it with great eyes and determine if the data needs to be revised.
The data.
Yeah. You said data. I said data. Tomato.
Lilli pronounced it correctly.
We've been
But
practicing.
I've been really.
And this
They
show,
say data, I say data.
on this show, data.
Data, okay. So we check to see if the data
That's what I'm talking about.
is accurate, and if we have any questions or concerns, because we don't want to give the public erroneous information at no time. So when we collect it, we analyze this, and then
Literally.
yeah,
Figuratively.
and then we start putting the information into compiling our book. And that's what we've been doing for the last week, compiling this awesome book to share with the community.
Well, I don't want it to give away the findings until tomorrow.
Yeah, but you want a sneak peek.
Well, I prefer that you, in narrative form,
I like that.
tell us where we were, where we are, where we're headed, if we don't do certain things. Okay? Without getting too technical.
Yeah.
So, let me ask these basic questions. Lilli spoke of domains. Break down that for me, or for the audience.
Okay, so a domain is a basic area, right, where you're analyzing. So, for example, Annie Casey Foundation has identified these 4 sections, really, and those domains are meant to capture data in very specific areas. So, for example, you have the domain of economic well-being. That domain includes unemployment data, income data. You might have the family and community domain. That talks about the demography of the Virgin Islands and our children, right? So race, population count, where people are living, right? The type of households we have. Are they headed by a female, or is it a 2-parent household? You might also have, the education domain is one of the largest domains in our data book, and our principal investigator, Dr. Saul Santiago, he always talks about how part of the reason it's the most robust domain is because we get a lot of data, right? Like they really do provide us with data. In the education domain, you're going to have academic proficiency, you're going to have dropout rates, graduation rates, you're going to have the whole gambit. You're also going to have in opportunity youth. We're going to be focusing on very specific age groups So, for example, we're going to be looking at youth crimes, 16 to 24 years old. We're going to be looking at, I think this year we have some new data. Can I say that we're excited to be presenting some new data VIPD provided us around vehicular incidents across the territory. So did I leave one out? I think health.
Vital statistics.
Health is one of, obviously one of the larger domains as well. And you're going to, birth rates, fertility rates. You're going to hear information around insurance, like how many of children have insurance. And then in our last domain, that's community bright spots, we really try to lift up what we call sort of community assets, right? We do have things in our community that are working, supports and safety nets and intervention programs. A lot of those are spearheaded by our nonprofits, so we will talk about the reasons why the Family Resource Center on St. Thomas is intake reasons, right? Why people would actually come to the Family Resource Center for services. So it's a broad spectrum of data, and one of the things that we really work on is making sure that all of that data is connected.
Ms. James, does the kids count collection of data validate our current census? Does it have any ability to speak to the 20% decrease since 2010?
Since 2000.
It's actually
2010.
50% since 2000.
It was 106 to 87
Yeah.
from 2010 to 2020.
So actual census data is a huge part of where we source information. And Chermaine talked about what she does. She's our sector liaison that works with all of our data partners. But she didn't talk about why it is such an incredible lift for us. And that is because in all states and Puerto Rico, they have access to something called the American Community Survey that's done about every 2 years. The Virgin Islands has not been a part of ACS. We've heard a lot of reasons. Number one, I think, is addressing or something of our streets. And so as a result of us not being included, we created something called the Virgin Islands Community Survey, which was conducted by the University of the Virgin Islands, Eastern Caribbean Center. The last available data was collected in
Last available what?
Data.
There you go.
I'm gonna get it. Was collected in 2015, reported in 2018. I think there was a 2018 collection of data, but not released. And I think there was another collection of data last year that has yet to be released. So since we have not had current data for our child population since 2015, when we became Kids Count stewards in 2020, we had to find another way to collect data, and that has been an incredible exercise. We worked very closely initially with the Office of the Governor to create a 9-agency MOU that we entered into with 9 government agencies that became our core data partners. And then obviously because we had relationships with nonprofits, we were able to lean on them to provide us additional information. And so it has been, and every year since 2005, it is immense exercise for us to work with agencies that are busy, that are distracted, that have not the best data collection systems. We work really, really closely with them. And what we say every time we present a data book is that this is not a gotcha. This is not intended to reflect badly on a specific agency. This is intended to paint the most comprehensive and coherent picture of children and families in the territory.
If the the population number, the actual people living here isn't as accurate as possible, then that would skew the data.
It could, but that's part of why we talk so much about coherence, is that it may not be accurate, but there are other indicators that we can look at that I think help us hone in on what the much more truer picture of where our children and our families are, and what our population looks like. So we look at our school population data, and that paints a picture. If there's a significant reduction that aligns with the census data, then we can say that the census data may be more accurate than maybe we think it is.
So of the 40 to 45,000 living in each district, how many are children that were looked at or broken down in the kids count?
Counted.
So, just off the
Ballpark
top,
figures.
yeah, off the top of my head, in 2000, when they did it was actually 2010, right? When they did the census, the population was 30,000, about 34,000. And then in 2020, when they did it, it was 17,000.
That's a 50% that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then
Reference earlier.
you see that in the schools, because when I was at Central High School as a principal, my population was 1,200. My sister is principal at Central High now, and the population is 650.
Yeah.
You know, so you see it in the numbers and in the schools. People may second guess what the total population is, Neville, but you really have to look at other
Indicator.
Yeah, I was gonna say data.
It's okay.
But
Say data.
work with me.
I'm good.
But you really have to look at other data that you collect, because it gives you a good comparison with what that big number is, and then you look at the smaller numbers and see how closely it's connected to that huge number. So the population in 2000 was what? 110 and
108, yes.
and then now it's like 87,000. You know, so
I've said that the 87 is an undercount.
It's undercount. It might be. And
Because of
that's
the pandemic.
because of the pandemic.
Because of the
there
pandemic.
is, and I think a lot of
and
states
the actual census being conducted in the pandemic year. So, but, we got to go with what they tell us, right? So they say 87, 90,000, so we deal with that. Now,
but
the
people
hurricane-
are leaving, though, Neville. A lot of our young children are leaving.
well,
And
I want to note a distinction in districts, right? Both districts were impacted with the storms. But prior to the storms, here on St. Croix, we had the Hovensa closing.
That's true.
So that was another impactful, right? Occurrence, event that would adversely impact the numbers, right? So what's the numbers what's the delta for St. Thomas? Because 1,200 to 600 is clearly you're losing half of your Central High School or high school population. What would that be in St. Thomas? Was it the same, or I don't think it would be. But the impact for the territory.
The territorial data, I'm sure. District data, I think, is. Lilli, do you have that in a previous data book? I
I'm
think in
looking
the
it up.
census it came out in 2020.
Yeah, so the percentage, and this is for 2020 census data, that the percentage of the population under 18 years of age was similar on St. Croix at 20% and St. Thomas at 19%. On St. John, children made up just 15% of all residents.
What was the 2010? Do we have 2010 number for children?
Yeah, so in 2010, children actually represented 25% of the total population. And then in 2020, right, but according to the 2020 census, the share of the children had decreased. So
We'll take a break on that note and try to break that down a little bit more before we take our next steps. We got the St. Croix Foundation in the house. Kids Count. Big presentation tomorrow. I'll be back right after this. And we're back here. Analyze this. We've got the St. Croix Foundation here in the studio. President and CEO Deanna James, Vice President of Communications Ms. Lilli Cox, and Team Sector Liaison Ms. Chermaine Hobson. All educators?
No.
No? Who you be? you be? Yeah. You got data. You got numbers. Geek. Yeah.
I started out in HR, human resources. I'm a communications major. That's my.
Well, that's it. So we're good with that, right? So let me get back to the data, right? There's percentages and there's totals, right? So I'm gonna have some fun with that, right? Do we have totals or is everything based on percentages? Because I noticed when I asked that number.
We have totals.
You have totals?
Yes, we have totals.
Okay. That's what I would want for the audience to have a better feel for the number of people, right? And then we could deal with percentages, and that will speak to the change, right? So how many children were here in the Virgin Islands in 2010?
In
our schools, public, private, the whole.
So
ballpark.
I can tell. I have the numbers I have right now are between 2000 and 2020.
2000 and 2020.
So over the course of
what was the number in 2000?
So it's 2000. It was 34,000 children.
34,000 children. Okay.
And in 2020, it was 17,000. So exactly 50%.
Okay. So we're gonna go with a 20-year delta and not a 10-year delta. Okay. So we had 34,000 at the start of the millennium, and by the pandemic, cut in half. Right? What was the number in St. Croix and St. Thomas? Were equal? 17, 8.5.
So we can look. So when you ask that question, I go down to public school education enrollment data. That's
what we're dealing with.
That's what. And so it went from currently the high. I can't remember the high, but currently 2020 was 10,000 students and 5,542 in St. Thomas, 5,451 in St. Croix. So
11,000 then.
Basically even about 11,000, 10,900, yes.
Okay, so 11,000. Okay, so the same. So the Hovensa impact as it relates to student population, there was not this great disparity, district versus district.
It appears.
It appears, right? On the surface, right? Okay, so we get that out of the way, right? Now, but you said the number in 2000 was 34,000 students?
Children. That's census data, the children in the territory.
Okay.
So we have the number of children territory-wide, 34,000. And then we have sort of an aligned data point, which is the number of students enrolled in public schools. So that's kind of how we kind of try to distill and desegregate, kind of disaggregate. Sorry.
So this begs right off the bat. This begs the first question, right? Those of us who were in parochial and private schools, the Department of Education still had a responsibility to us because they were feeding us. Like when we went to St. Dunstan's, we were getting fed by the public education system, right? So the data that they were using, that they've been using for the last 20 to 25 years, does not include parochial and non-pubs, based on your information?
But we do have
for public school.
No.
Public school data. The total census data.
The total children.
That is
data.
Census data. So that is everyone. That is not. That's not collected directly from a specific agency. That is census data.
Okay.
So that's every person, every household being counted.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So for the purposes of the conversation, we include in the non-pubs.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, so we
Yes.
established that, right? So we lost 2/3.
Half. Half.
Of the 34,000, how many were kindergarten to 12th grade? Or was that all inclusive? Because I would want to think the 34,000 included pre-K.
34,000 includes all children.
All children.
Yeah,
0
zero.
to 18.
Yeah, infancy
To 18.
to ready to graduate from high school.
Yes.
Okay, good. Right. So that number is now what?
17,000.
Yes.
That's territory wide.
That's a painful.
That's a very painful. That's a pain point.
That's a painful delta to process them, huh?
And so that's part of what, so, obviously the, decennial census happened in 2020. We're 5 years out from that. We don't have more current data on population because VIX has not come out yet. But we can have, I think, a much more contextualized conversation about what that means. And so part of the conversation we'll have tomorrow is around something called the dependency rate ratio and what that means when you have a growing, aging population and a significantly reduced child population.
Well,
What that means for...
well, basically, though, I don't know if you notice it, right?
Oh,
But this delta that we're talking about is 85 to 90% children. If the census saying that we lose 20,000 and 17,000 of that is the children number.
But 17,000 territory wide.
Listen to what I just said here, right?
Okay.
Listen carefully. This is math class. This is Miss Beckett. Okay? Right? Then we use 105 and 85.
Okay.
Right? As our two numbers. That's 20,000. A 20,000 change in population territory wide. And you're telling me 17,000 is the change between the 105 number and the 85 number. 17,000 out of 20,000 is 85%. You follow what I'm saying? The territory change is 20,000. The children number is 17,000. 17 out of 20 is 85%. So are we saying that the change in population is predominantly children?
a significant portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So parents have decided we're moving away. Our children to aunts and family members on the mainland.
Well, that's what happened hugely after
The hurricanes.
hurricane.
Yeah.
That parents stayed and children left, but then a lot of families with children of school age, they left for other reasons, for economic reasons, for educational opportunity reasons. So yes, we've lost a significant segment of our population, which are children.
That's a natural brain drain that's gonna happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's beyond brain drain.
That's a new defining,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Mechanism for brain drain, because it ain't just about educated virgin islanders who left. These are virgin islanders who were being educated, leaving with the likelihood that they're coming back home completely up in the air, Lilli Cox.
and
You just said it, right? I mean, I'm over here,
Yeah.
I can testify, right? I mean, it's very serious.
That's worse.
So when you look at it from a global standpoint, the reality is that almost every developed nation in the world is dealing with lower birth rates, aging population. The only when we did I think it was our 2023 Databook, where we had the pyramid, the sort of population pyramid, where the shift from 2000 to 2020. Oh, Lilli has a copy of it there. Was so pronounced that we kept looking for somewhere in the world where, oh my God, is this who's getting it right? Who's on the other end of this this really dark trajectory if we don't get this right? And the only place we could find, actually the youngest continent on the planet, is Africa, with the average age of I think In one country, Niger is 15 is the average age. But the average age overall of the continent of Africa is 19.
That's so good.
Every single other place, we are in the Virgin Islands, we are the oldest population in the entire Caribbean.
45, right?
At average age being 45 and above. And so when you think about what that means, and I continue to ask when I sit at tables, when we talk about economic development for whom? If we are aging rapidly, having less children, and more of our children are leaving the territory, what does the future look like for the Virgin Islands? And so that is one of the conversations that we hope to have tomorrow, is about like, what does this really mean in the context of healthcare, context of education, workforce, all the things that are essential for a thriving community. If we don't have children, what does that mean?
Ms. Hobson, you wanted to say something?
Oh, no. I was agreeing with her. I wanted to really talk more about that number of 45 being the average age and how scary that is. I think when I first saw that, I was like, I became nervous, because when you talk to the young people, and I encourage people to please always have conversations with them. And that's going to be another surprise in our data book, because we have their voices in the data book this year. And a lot of the times when you talk to them, they're like, why am I staying here? One young lady told me, I came home, I wanted to work, and I got into this job, and the older people at the job, instead of teaching me, they wanted to know if I was there to take their job. And then I wasn't getting paid what I could have gotten in the States, so I'm leaving, So there's a lot of issues, broken systems that's causing a lot of this migration out of the Virgin Islands. And I think tomorrow and every day after, we need to pay close attention to the data, because it's telling a very dark story that we really need to pay attention to. Can it be fixed? I'm sure it can be, but we need to collectively get together to find out what is causing this deep divide, and how we can bring us back to where we used to be.
By the way, one of my listeners, and the strength of the show is the audience, right? She said, I'm not factoring in immigration, right? So that may be true, right? But I'm just looking at the raw numbers,
Yeah.
right?
You're the math person.
You know what I'm saying? I like to have fun with it. I never said that I never said that I'm the greatest, right? Even though I am. No, I'm just teasing.
No. But math. I'll never take that from you.
You know what I'm saying?
That's your gift.
No, I like it. Actually, it's more because I like it than it is about something like I'm so great and all that stuff, right? But I just want the audience to know how I went about asking the question, right? And it's based on the number, right? If we had a population, right? Because I told them, break that down for me, and then I went ahead, and I so now I'm answering them, while they're talking. It's like a walk and chew gum at the same time, right? So I said, I'm processing the raw data. If our population was 105,000, is that correct?
It was.
2,000?
It was.
Right?
It was.
With 34,000 children.
Yes.
And it's now 85,000. We're using a ballpark figure. It's technically 87,000, right? Right? With 17,000 children. The overall difference of 20,000, which is 105 to 85, right? Includes a drop in the children of 17,000, because it went from 34 to 17,000. So then now I divide the 17,000 into the 20,000, and that's how I got, right? 1.7 out of 2.0 is always 85%, right? So, so here's the next question now that I need to ask you. Are you demanding on behalf of the people and the data comprehensive discussions with the Department of Education? Do you have that ability in terms of speaking with the governor and if the governor's a data nerd like myself, right? Has he given you the ability and given his agency the directive that there has to be some type of communication so we can get to where we want to be at some point down the road? Because just presenting the data tomorrow, that's one part of it. There has to be some type of long-term, even a midterm plan, right, to address, okay, are we going to accept the 85,000 and maximize that, or are we going to work back to what was once our capacity of 105,000?
So that's a
because
loaded question.
because economics is a part of that deal.
Yeah,
a big part of it.
That's a huge. So I'll say to you that this process, this initiative, is not possible without incredible relationships. And anyone who looks at our data book and knows St. Croix Foundation, at least over the 20 years I've been there, knows that we have not been able to do what we've been able to do without deep partnerships, particularly with in more recent years the Department of Education. And so that is reflected in the data book, where education takes up probably the largest swath of the pagination of the book. And that's because they provide us some very rich data. We continue to work with all of our partners. As soon as the data book is released, we begin scheduling debriefing meetings with all of our agencies to sit down and ask them what did they take from this? What are the things that they want us to consider as we move forward?
So let me stop here right there.
Yes.
We're going to a break. Yeah. So on the surface, what you're saying is this ain't just a Department of Education issue.
Oh no! Oh my God! No!
So I shouldn't just
Absolutely.
be asking about education.
No,
it
it's
should really be
judicial,
across the spectrum.
Everything.
Across the spectrum. Okay,
1,000%.
We'll take a break.
Yes.
Great conversation with the St. Croix Foundation Kids Kong presentation tomorrow. Look out for it. Be back right after this. And we're back here. I analyze this. The St. Croix Foundation is in the house. Lilli, Chermaine, and Deanna, right? And tomorrow is a big day. Kids count. This is an annual presentation
It is.
that the St. Croix Foundation makes, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, but we still, everything is based on the last census, right? 2020, right?
No.
No.
That's sort of what, I'll let Chermaine talk a little bit more about in Deanna, but that's what we're actually talking about is that, we actually go directly to the agency. So you see very current data in there. Now, the base population data,
Yeah.
there's nothing, right, we don't have VIX.
Yeah.
And until we have the next census or VIX data, we're going to be in that position. But when it comes to, academic proficiency, birth rates, like we are going directly to our government partners, the source, thank you. And so we actually, here in the territory, we have some,
Actually, 2025 data.
yeah, and we have sometimes in many cases more current data than our national peers because of the approach that we take. We're not counting on, ACS, American Community Survey data that was taken 2 years ago even. Like we're working in real time.
I forget you tell me we do the VI community
Survey.
service, right? So that allows for us to have.
When we have it, we don't have it yet.
We
So
don't have it
because we
yet.
don't have it, Chermaine and members of the team go directly to government agencies to collect that data and nonprofits to collect that data in real time. So we have the most current data. We have even more current data than when VIX comes out. A lot of our data will be more current than that.
One of my listeners out of Puerto Rico, Edwin Melendez, he's a data scientist, and so he telling me about the app. So I tell you what I like to use my brain, right? And I just sent him a text and said, keep in mind, Puerto Rico is 40 times bigger from a population standpoint than the territory. So we don't necessarily need an app here on St. Croix when we're dealing with less than 100,000. Now some people might say, well, who is he to say that we don't need an app, right? But if you're dealing with 100,000, you should be able, via your brain or collective brain power, to process the movement, the changes within 100,000. If you're not, then that's a sad commentary for the territory, right? Some people might
But
tell
on
you
a
that-
positive note, it's something
I'm not knocking apps. I'm just saying
Well, no, no, no.
100,000 is a number that
potatoes.
we should be able to
Wrap our arms around
yeah,
this. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so that's just that. So I'm not knocking the app. Mr. Melendez out of Puerto Rico. It's a Power BI, by the way. Is a great tool, right? So I can look into that as well. So check this out, right? Literacy, which is my baby, right? Without giving away tomorrow's, data or technical numbers, where we at? I know this is one that, don't really sit well, but it is what it is, and we can't run from it.
So,
Go right
visually
ahead.
impaired, so I'm going to talk. You add. But, and Lilli, help me.
I'll help.
But what we did know with the assessment is that the ELA scores, the English language arts scores, are climbing, which is really good. However, they're still not where they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
but
But
they are going in
directionally-
the right
Directionally,
direction.
we're good.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. It's impressive to see, and you'll see that in the when we talk about it tomorrow, and when you get the new data book, the numbers are increasing. The teachers tend to be stronger with literacy. And I think a lot is being done across the board to assist with both ELA and math. But I'm seeing that there's more of a good climb with ELA and a stagnation with math, a severe stagnation with math. That's why we tell you need to come in and provide some assistance. But Neville, can I talk about one point before we went on the break?
Go ahead.
So you were asking the question, you can't blame it all on education. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think what was important for us with the data book is that one of our data books, the title was called From Silos to Systems. And I will forever love that title, because it's basically telling the community it's just not one entity. And if we have to work with these children, all the systems have to come together, all the agencies, all the nonprofits, and until we have that heavy meat and start looking at, and you said the population, we were 87,000. Why can't we know all our children? How is it so difficult that we can't know our children and find out what they need?
But we did. We did. Right? We did in 80 when we were at 99,000. Everybody knew everybody's child. You know what I'm saying? So that's an excellent question you're asking. What is it about us sociologically that we aren't as astute with respect to our children, them knowing who they fuck? Remember, that was the question. Who's your parents? That was a colloquial question that actually had deep meaning, right? When they hear this child, they say, who this child fuck? Right? That meant something. You know, so little things like that. Now, people in the business are minding the business. You know what I'm saying? So I respect that. Right? But, you know, looking out for children, you know, it really was a village thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
So that's what we got. So, directionally.
And I think the numbers too, because I don't think that we are using the numbers like we should. When we get data, we need to use the data to drive drive us on the right path, and not just the numbers, but let the numbers tell the story. The qualitative data. So I am the qualitative data person. I don't like numbers like you love numbers, but I love the story behind the numbers.
But that's the word, right? Remember when we went to college, there was this class they offered quantitative methods, right? Remember that class, right? However, as I aged, I came to find out you really need to be more obsessed with qualitative, because quantitative is a concept within the qualitative, because the qualitative allows you look at the numbers.
Contextualize.
Yeah.
That's I notice you like that word.
I do.
I like that word. I like it though. I like it though. Right. So that's good. So you're right. Qualitatively, right? Maybe that should be the end game. That should be where all these 9 agencies all coming in. By the way, can we list the 9 agencies if possible?
Yes.
Department of Human Services, Department of Health, Bureau of Economics,
Research.
University. Yep.
Yeah.
University of the Virgin Islands, Department of Health, Department of Labor,
Education.
Department of Education,
Department of Justice.
Department of Justice, Department of Sports, Parks and Recreation,
VIPD.
BIPD.
Human Services.
That's everybody. That's everybody.
Got it.
Labor.
Yeah,
Is it
it's everybody.
Labor.
Yeah, it's everybody.
It's everybody.
Yeah, and we talk about
In
that.
particular, as it relates to data collection.
Yeah, but that
And
has-
University of the Virgin Islands also.
She said, yeah.
That's actually increased though, right? So that MOU is, sort of a formal document, but in the course of the last several years, we work with well over 20 different agencies on a regular basis. And I really do want to just underline this, that when we talk about collaboration, we are not talking about a singular partnership that is governed by a singular MOU for a singular project or funding opportunity. We are talking about ongoing relationships. And that is what makes this work possible.
So, my lawyer listener, chime back in, right? Said I understand, but that is considering 105,000 as 100% of movement, not just a numerical change. And we need to look at changes in the demographic makeup of the population to see whether more child-rearing adults have left and been replaced by retirees, right? So that's the qualitative. That's the qualitative, right?
Yeah.
So they're right. Right,
And that's just child rearing, but
apparently
but
she was
working.
apparently
But
she was listening, and she said, "Now you're beginning to address that."
Yeah.
So the conversation is,
Yes.
is
Yeah.
in the right direction. So I'm good with that,
Okay.
right? But you were saying,
it's not just childbearing, but working age. So, that's part of the dependency ratio that we want to talk about, is that more, if you have less people having children, then you have families that are leaving with children, you have more burden on the labor force, the current labor force, to support the children that are here and to support aging population. And so those are some of the challenges that we have to address very quickly. We don't have a lot of time to address it. We have to address it as if our lives depend on it, because it really does. That's where we are right now as a territory.
and I don't ever want the public to think that when we look at something qualitatively, that we ignoring the raw data.
Absolutely.
No.
Can't do that.
No.
Right? You must always keep that.
They
Right?
go hand in hand.
Yeah. Without a doubt.
It's what we call, it's a part of why we say the theory of coherence, of all of it. Everything is connected to everything.
What about agriculture? Because what the children eat it. Or in this case, since we're going to analyze this, consuming. Right? You use the terminology, right? That has to be at some point, right, factored in. You know, and the reason why another reason why I went there is when we talk agriculture, over the years, you know, having been in the legislative arena, the suggestion was always, you know, if you want to get into agriculture, then you got to look at certain fruit or certain crop, right? That, you know, would harvest here in volumes that would make it beneficial, right? Shouldn't we be looking at this, looking at it, the child development the same way, in terms of what areas are we looking at? Like, you know, for example, in health, when I went, I keep referencing a meeting I had in 2006 with an NYU medical school dean, and he said, you know, I know you're a senator and you're looking at wanting to have a medical school down there and all that stuff, but you need to look at, you know, a specialization area, and you know where you guys are, retirees. You know, it would be something. So maybe geriatrics, right? So for us, right, as relates to education, what areas should we look at so that we could truly measure development and growth?
That's a great question for all of us to answer. I mean,
and you are on a great show with a great host.
But you know, it's about demand occupation. Like, really, what is it that you have to do an assessment of where we are, what our needs are, and then you make those strategic decisions in terms of where you're going to focus.
And it kind of simplifies how you go about wanting to see the change. You know, so that's the reason why.
And you know,
I asked
there's this saying that Dr. Daggett, one of our national partners back in the day, used to talk about: when everything's a priority, nothing's a priority when it comes to education. And so I think that's part of like the work that we have to do, is to really get focused on what our unique assets are, what our unique needs are, and how do we sort of marry that together to like make sure that we are leveraging the resources that we do have to actually meet those needs.
Yeah, I had Olasi on. Olasi was saying, I forget what crops he said, but these two particular crops, if we was to focus on that, you know, we could generate. You know what I'm saying? So there are areas where we could see positive returns.
You made me think about something. So what St. Croix Foundation, the Kids Count team, we've done is we've created this data dashboard.
Yeah, man.
And I am thinking, Neville, that if we were to have it on a grander scale, where you have this dashboard that you can click immediately to get all the information that you need at your fingertip, we would solve a lot of our problems. We would really solve a lot of our problems. Tomorrow we're going to demonstrate how to use the dashboard because it is such an amazing tool. You don't, the book is amazing. Please use the book because the book has the narratives and it tells the story as well. It's wordy. That's what the book is. But the dashboard, it gives you the numbers and the charts and the graphs, and it gives you the story within those numbers. And it's at your fingertips. It's really easy to manipulate. So if the governor should have that as something like his legacy. Have a great data dashboard that has all his agencies connected to this dashboard, that he can have access at his fingertips immediately, real time.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I know, great conversations. Time to fly fast. For tomorrow, what time, location, all that stuff?
Okay, so it's a virtual Zoom community presentation. We do that deliberately so that anybody can join. If you are interested in registering, well, it's tomorrow at 10 a.m. If you haven't registered and you would like to, you can visit our website at www.stxfoundation.org. You can also, if you're on Facebook, you can go to STX Foundation, and it's all over our page. And if you want to just pick up the phone, you can call us at 773-9898. Speak with my wonderful colleague Jacqueline, and she will set you up.
Okay, ready for tomorrow?
We are ready. We are ready.
Piece of cake.
How about that? We're all tired. We've been proofing and proofing.
Well, from
and
the
proofing,
standpoint, you do it all the time.
yeah. We're excited. This is a year's worth of work that we get to, present to the community.
And want to give out a shout out to Saul, right?
Saul,
The man. You know what I'm saying?
We were up till like 1:00 in the morning. Yes, Saul is amazing.
Yeah, man. So and Miss Lawrence, right?
Yes, Lori.
Yeah,
Lori Blake.
call out the people them. so
Lori
that-
Blake, Anna Scabriel, Dr. Anna Scabriel, Dr. Saul Santiago, Lori Blake. She is connecting with us from France right now. So, and then we have other members of our team, Siobhan Miles, who's our development director, who's helping us to put all the pieces together so that we have a really amazing presentation tomorrow.
Always good to have brain power like
Yes.
this in the studio. You know what I'm saying? And,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say Jacqueline Lawrence. Who's,
yeah, I shouted her.
okay,
Yeah,
you did.
okay,
Good. Okay.
And I appreciate
she's
this level of content. This is what I wake up for.
Thank
I'm not a
you.
morning person, so y'all actually
I'm not either.
make it
We
happen.
woke you up.
Thank you, Lilli. Thank you,
you.
Charmaine, and thank you, Deanna.
Thanks for asking me.
Thank
You
you
guys
for
are-
having us here.
And thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
Right to educate the public. Be back right after this.
Thank you.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
And we're back here. Analyze This. Want to thank the St. Croix Foundation for joining us in hour number one and actually congratulating them on doing what they do with respect to Kids Count. And they're going to have their virtual presentation tomorrow of the 2025 Kids Count Databook. And looking forward to getting some more detailed information as to where we are with respect to our children. Them here in the territory. We're going to transition immediately over to the VA Palestinian Friendship Association Festival. Ahmad.
Good morning.
Ahmad Hussein joining us this morning. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you.
Good. So, Ahmad, before we get to VA Palestinian, let me talk some world politics and all that stuff. Cause you're good. You're good conversation, and you're knowledgeable about what's going on. Is world peace attainable in your estimation? And get closer to the microphone if you want.
World peace is, of course, there is nothing that's not attainable when there is a will behind it.
No. Misinformation continues to undermine that dream of world peace. I want to be as candid as possible. Why is it that misinformation has such far-reaching tentacles as opposed to the truth?
Mainstream media is sometimes does not sometimes, most of the time, does not reflect the actual realities because of certain agendas.
Why is it that Palestinians in particular and folks from the Middle East have assimilated here in the Virgin Islands and by extension in the Caribbean and have shown that they are willing to be a part of communities peacefully? We are terminology we just used in the last segment with the St. Croix Foundation. We are real-time, long-time proof that we could live together in harmony. Why not elsewhere? What is it about us that it has worked for us in the region? And I know of it here in the Virgin Islands because this is home for me. And it is struggling elsewhere, in your estimation? Is it because we have been more receptive to you?
Well, Palestinians all over, wherever they go, they pretty much get along well in the communities they go to. They are very...
Because the first set of Palestinians that came to the Virgin Islands, right? Because 95% are salesmen, right? All our father and grandfather had the briefcase with the clothes, going from community to community, and then eventually you build out stores, and the rest is history.
Well, that's part of the culture. The Palestinian culture is culture built on, that believes in hard work, productivity. Some of it is based on agriculture and trade and commerce and all that stuff. Generally, the people of Palestinian origin, they are, whenever they go into a new community, they carry their culture with them of hard work, productivity, lending a hand, and they learn and they develop, and they're known for their kindness, and they socialize, they're open, everybody looks at his neighbor. These are values entrenched in the Palestinian culture. You cannot sleep while your neighbor is not well, or so the whole culture of lending a hand comes from those roots that were part of the culture. And a good example of that, even if you look right now at the situation in the Palestinian territories, as bad as it is, you have government employees that have not received more than 30% of their salaries for
over 2 years now.
The government owes them about a year.
A year, okay.
Yeah, maybe less. They still report to work every day, and as hard as it is, the society lends a hand and everybody leans on his neighbor and his relative, and they make things work. And they've learned that also, and they had to do it because of the brutalness of the occupation that has hijacked their life, socially, economically, militarily, everything.
Let me ask this question so the public will have a better feel for what's going on in the Middle East. I'm a geography. That's my first love, right? So, but clearly I wasn't as learned as about the Middle East as I should have been. So I gonna ask you to help educate me and my audience and break it down, right? The countries surrounding Palestine, Jordan, right?
Yes.
Lebanon is Lebanon, right?
Lebanon.
Egypt,
Yes.
right?
Syria.
Syria. These Middle East countries, these Arab nations. That's the terminology they like to use. What's the biggest difference between Palestine and those four countries that I mentioned? Lebanon, Egypt, Syria, and Jordan, in your estimation?
The meaning in terms of the culture?
Is it the Israeli occupation from 48 that is the main distinction between the Palestinian territory and the other countries
and based on the Sykes-Picot agreement that divided, Syria, Lebanon, and Palestine under the Ottoman rule, and even prior to that, used to be one territory, considered as one district or one territory, and that was, and even Jordan included. That used to be one territory based on those agreements that came forth. You remember we spoke last year after the World War I and II.
So we go back to World War II in particular, right? Because the creation of Israel, right, was in the aftermath of World War II.
Yes.
Right? 48, that's the year, right?
48, yes.
Now the war ended in 45, right? The World War ended 39 to 45.
To 45.
And then it was determined that there needed to be this Zionist area, right? Which they determined would be
actually UN resolution.
UN resolution, correct.
181, I believe, was the partition of Palestine.
The partition of Palestine.
The partition was, there was supposed to be two states, side by side, the one for the Israelis and the other one for the Palestinian. The Israeli state was accepted, and we are still hoping to get the Palestinian state, because that's the only missing state in the planet.
Without a doubt.
Because for sure we're not a people too many on this planet. So
no, I want to ask you a question based on how Ali Khaled educated me before he passed away.
May he rest in peace.
Without a doubt. Good morning, Liz Goggins. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are
Morning, Liz.
you?
Good. All is well?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you. Ali sat me down. This is about 2013, thereabouts, right? Yeah, Ali used to look out for me, right?
Yeah, he passed away in 2015.
2015,
Yeah.
April, to be exact,
Yes.
right? And Ali said, Neville, the Jewish community, they own the banks, they got all the insurance. They're in a dominant position in a world where money runs everything, right? How did that happen? If they were in transition from dealing with Hitler, what have you?
We have to differentiate, and I always keep saying that,
Educate me, man.
between Judaism and Zionism.
Yes, educate.
Let's keep those two apart.
Yeah.
The
Banks and the insurance, Zionists or the Jews. If we were to pick one,
Zionism is not a religion. Judaism is a religion.
yes. Yes.
Now, Jude, religions are usually manipulated and used to justify certain things, or it's, I call it in marketing packaging.
Oh, yeah.
They bring everything and they package it with religion so you can accept it. And that's the problem wherever you go. And a lot of it has nothing to do with the religions. Going back to your question, the Zionist establishment during the two wars was playing both sides.
Go back to World War One.
They funded both sides.
Axis versus allies and all that stuff. We had no Axis in World War II. We had an Axis in World War One. What was it about World War One with the Axis versus the allies that they were playing both sides?
They were funding here, and particularly, if you go back, certain families. The most known of them is the Rothschilds, because of the Balfour Declaration that came after, and but they were in Europe very successful financially, and they were funding both sides. Even to create the migration to Palestine, they had their certain agreements and negotiations and dialogue and understanding with the Nazi regime at that time.
1948 was 50 years in the making. It wasn't just a 1948 creation. No. This was it was well founded and all that stuff.
Exactly.
Before that. Now, we've had all these agreements and all that stuff subsequent to that. We had this announcement back in October, I think it was the 13th, and all that stuff. Clearly, all
and there was
superficial.
And there's a UN resolution that came out yesterday.
Yes. There we go. Why they don't have teeth?
They don't meet the conditions. To get peace, there is two conditions that need to be met. You need an Israeli partner, and that's not available right now, because the Israeli society, as much as they don't talk about it and try to hide it, has moved in the past few years towards fascism and extremism. Not only the government, which is Netanyahu and Smotrich and all, but the society as a whole. So technically right now the Palestinians do not have a peace partner. The second condition,
go ahead.
You need political will in the United States to pressure Israel to abide by international law and to accept UN resolutions and to accept the right of the Palestinians to self-determination and statehood and whatever follows that. Those two conditions are not met, and in my belief, as long as those two conditions are not available, we're just beating around the bush. You see the UN resolution dances around. Nobody's going to the core of the problem, although everybody knows the core of the problem. But it's in my opinion, I think it's a distraction.
Well. Here is what I am seeing. Right now, there is no consolation when innocent man, woman, and children are dying. Zero consolation. And right. But what I am seeing is a more global commitment and support from nations to recognize Palestine as a state. I don't think you could deny that, even though it's not enough. And we are hearing that from countries on a weekly basis, and that's a good thing.
And it is highly appreciated.
Ain't enough though.
But words are no longer enough. Words don't stop bloodshed. And if there is anything positive in any resolution that's coming out, is just to get a ceasefire to stop the bloodshed of innocent lives, and and then the accountability and all the other issues can be discussed.
What percentage, in your opinion, of the Palestinian people support Hamas?
I don't know, but it's not a very big percentage.
Is Hamas strictly a terrorist organization, or is Hamas making a real commitment to govern the people of Palestine?
Hamas is not does not represent the Palestinians. The Palestinians are representative. Sole representative is the PLO.
That's the Palestine Liberation
The Palestinian
Organization.
Liberation Organization. That's the sole and only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people.
Is there across the board fear of what Hamas can do to its people?
There is no fear of Hamas. The Hamas is a movement, a group that is not very old. It's fairly new. It was came across in the late 80s. Hamas is not the problem that we should be discussing. Hamas, if we eliminate the...
When you say we're talking globally. We're not talking this
globally,
conversation.
yeah. Globally, Hamas is just a movement. The problem and the occupation existed long before Hamas came to existence. So, that's another distraction that we go through, and creating, they try to create out of something small, creating a...
Mushrooming molehills.
Yeah, a fake monster to justify genocide and Palestinian erasure. And...
well, that can't happen no more. The world is seeing it now, right?
But not doing anything about it.
Not doing... I wouldn't say anything.
Too much. Not doing enough about it.
Enough
yes.
is the word.
Could I just jump in here real quick?
Well,
for
we're
a
going to a
second?
break. So what we're going to do
Okay.
is take a break, and when we come back, we go straight to you. Right? Because Liz been sitting here as the executive director, listening to this educational discussion, where I'm being educated by Ahmad, Hussein. The VA Palestinian Friendship Festival is here. We'll take a break. We'll be back right after this. And we're back here and analyze this, and we got Mr. Ahmad Hussein. You the president for the Virgin Islands Palestinian
Yes.
Friendship Association?
Yes.
We're glad to have you in the studio.
Thank you.
And Executive Director Liz Goggins. Liz, you want to say something?
Yes, when you're talking about the world getting involved, you see, and maybe just because I follow so many different groups on Facebook, around the world you have people who are opposing what's happening, and the people are starting boycotts. Just like in South Africa, it was the boycotts that destroyed the apartheid. And you see that growing, and it's growing around the world. And that's going to be one of the important parts of being able to establish the Palestinian state, is the boycotts from people around the world. And there are websites I know or apps where you can put on your phone, it will tell you what products are from Israel. So, when you're in the grocery store, you can pick and choose those that are going to support the Palestinian position.
Without a doubt. And of course, we live in a social media world as well. So information, I'll make sure I say this right and don't offend anybody, is not always misinformation, right? Sometimes it might not be verified, but just because it isn't verified doesn't mean that it isn't true.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So there's that fine line that we need to factor in there. Now, in October 7th, 2023, right? That's when the incident took place. And then in the immediate aftermath, we found out a couple of things, and I just want your take on it. Number one, it's my understanding that Egypt had warned Israel that something was in the works. And as a byproduct of that led to what is a pretty broad belief that the relationship between Hamas and Netanyahu was way more cozy than the Netanyahu faction would want people to believe. What's your take on that?
After the assassination of Yasser Arafat,
Yes.
may he rest in peace, and the second Intifada, which was in the between 2000 and 2002, 2003, in that time. After that, and the incoming president, which is the current president, President Mahmoud Abbas, came in, the Israeli right wing wanted to walk away from the Oslo Agreement. Okay. And
the Israeli right wing,
yeah,
which is Netanyahu.
Actually, if you go back even in history, the first bullet that was shot at peace was from the Israeli side when they assassinated Prime Minister Rabin.
Correct.
So
Yitzhak, right?
Yitzhak Rabin.
Yeah.
So the Oslo process, because these were interim agreements, the Oslo process and the whole peace process was not something favorable to the right, to the right, the Israeli right.
Let me stop you right there. Is the Palestinian Israeli conflict a result of an internal conflict in Israel?
The Palestinian-Israeli conflict right now?
The conflict in general. Is it because there is a segment of the Israeli population that wants nothing to do with Palestine, whereas there is a segment of the Israeli population that truly wants peace with Palestinians?
There is a lot of Israelis, but not now. They are very small minorities because some of them even left, because the society started also treating them harshly. The predominant majority in Israel now does not believe in peace, does not believe that the Palestinian people are entitled to anything. They are the neo-Zionists that have transitioned from, allowing even the Palestinians a little bit of leeway to live to erasing through, expulsion, genocide, erasure, to transfer, whatever it takes to get rid of the demography and control the geography. And, if we can talk about that in details if you want to go and focus the lens exactly on the Palestinian territories and take it territory by territory and see what's happening on the ground. We can say whatever we want.
My biggest issue is mass suffering, mass genocide, right? We here in the West, we really can't relate to what is taking place over there.
It's very hard for anyone that has not lived there and has not seen it,
can't relate to it,
to imagine it.
You know what I'm saying?
But it's very bad. It's very bad on daily basis. It's right now, as we speak. Last night, Israeli settlers in the West Bank went to a village, burned houses, burned trucks.
There is something fundamentally wrong, inhumane, with undermining aid, basic aid getting to human beings. We can't relate to that. We don't live like that.
That's a war crime. That's a war crime because these are civilians. When you talk about Gaza, it's an open-air prison. When you talk about Hamas, you have gangs in the United States and all over the world that has more reach and military, or violent. And I'm not defending them. I really, truly.
No, I'm not. You're just really, being candid.
Yeah. But at the same time, when the mainstream media in the U.S. Do you condemn Hamas? Do you condemn Israeli occupation?
But that's the reason why I asked a question earlier with respect to intra-fighting within Israel, because
there ain't no fighting. They are on the same page. Take it from me. Their disagreements have nothing. They unite.
We have a United States president who wrote a letter telling Israel to not take up charges against Netanyahu. So there has to be some kind of forces going after each other internally in Israel.
That's internally, but they unite against eradicating the Palestinians. They unite. They don't. There is no disagreement. They're disagreeing on changes in the judicial system.
Well, you know something? I'm glad you went there, because I learned a lot with the Iraqi occupation, Desert Storm. I was in my 20s then, and right as a baby then compared to my old self now, right? And I have one of my good friends, Dwayne Henry. He and we talk all this time, and I said, Dwayne Henry, you know what was the most revealing thing about the Iraqi occupation? He said no. What? I said I couldn't believe that Tariq Aziz was a Christian.
Yeah, he was an Arab nationalist, a Ba'athist, and he was a Christian.
Because I thought all of them was one. You know what I'm saying? At the time, Saddam Hussein. You know what I'm saying? All of them. I thought it was a Muslim thing. And when I heard, when I'm listening and I'm hearing that Tariq Aziz was a Christian, I was like, what? Really? So it was a revelation for me. You check what I'm saying? So that's the reason why I asked the question, because what I did learn from that was yes.
One of the major.
Yeah, but you shouldn't assume. That's what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I asked these questions, right? So you're telling me now, even if they got internal conflicts where you have Israelis who want peace and not involved in what is going on with Palestine, you're saying at the end of the day, they're all one and the same.
When it comes to the Palestinians and the Palestinian rights, and when it comes to the issue of Palestine and dealing with the Palestinian issue, they all one. There is no disagreement there. The people, the opposition right now in Netanyahu's government is more extreme than him and Smotrich, and they're just.
But they themselves lack the will that you talked about. earlier, the political will.
No, they have no part. They are not a partner. You can't. They at this point in time, we have a very big dilemma. We don't have a partner to engage in as Palestinians. To engage to get any kind of peaceful outcome, and that's the whole situation. That's why things are very unstable worldwide, and I will not be surprised if there is any further breakouts that
You
will
can't
happen.
be at this juncture.
Because things are they are very extreme. They believe in their version of peace by power, and their peace by power means a peace where the Palestinians are not in the picture,
They also believe that if there isn't chaos, they can't function.
That's part of the Zionist protocols, creating chaos all over the world. If you
Liz, you and I are not Palestinians, but we support Palestinian friendship. What's it like for you, playing this arbiter role, so to speak, in terms of wanting global peace? And I asked him prior to you getting here, in the Caribbean, we've embraced the Palestinians and those from the Middle East. We don't have the kind of conflict. We had the one incident where this guy put up some flags by the airport about 10 years ago.
That guy was crazy.
That looked like a mental issue there, more than anything else, you know what I'm saying? But Liz, what's your take as you work with them? We're trying to promote Palestinian friendship because they're here in our among us. They're us now. They're brothers and sisters.
Well,
along with the Jewish community.
Yes, going back, I first met Joe Jaber in Rotary 20-some years ago, and then I started helping Joe out.
Thank you there, man. I didn't see Joe in donkey years.
Yeah, he's up in the States.
In the States still?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Joe, he's always got something going on.
Yeah, man. That's my boy.
But I was working with him, helping out, just doing some things, some accounting work for him. And we'd sit and talk. And that was the first time I really learned about Islam. I had these ideas that I had heard. But in talking to Joe, I learned about Islam and I learned about Palestine. And it opened my worldview. These people have faced incredible tragedies and hardship over land. This is their land. They've been there for thousands of years, So that opened it up. I've come to be good friends with many Palestinian people. Ahmad, just one of them, and you know me well enough to know I always support the underdog. That's just Ahmad says. If I try and travel, they're going to arrest me for all the things I post for all the underdogs. So I think it's just a matter of people getting to know each other, and that's kind of the purpose of the Friendship Festival, just to learn about each other, to share culture.
What's the dates and all that stuff?
Okay, it is this coming Sunday at the Ag Fairgrounds, and we're going to be in the area by the Saturday Market up top, up top. And it begins at noon. But before that, at 11 o'clock, we have a workshop, which is going to be done by Shada. Thank you.
Yeah. From the Arab American Museum.
National Museum.
Yeah. For oral history.
Yeah. Okay. She does oral histories for Arab Americans, but the workshop is going to be for everybody because we all know how important history is here to everybody. And to be able, she's going to be showing you things about how you get started, what are the questions you ask an elder who may be a little shy about talking about their history to get them easily worked into it. And the thing is, everybody has a phone now, so it's so easy, It's not like years ago where you'd have to sit down and write what people said. Now you can just film them and talk to them and build on it. And so That's going to be from 11 a.m. until noon. And then right after that, the festival starts. And that's going to take place within the pavilion. She'll be inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the afternoon, she has a map of the world where people can pinpoint where their family came from and how they got to the Virgin Islands. So if you came from Palestine, if you came from Ghana and you went up to Europe and then you went up to Greenland and then you came down here, so she'll be mapping people's transit from their homeland to the Virgin Islands, which will be a really visual, wonderfully visual depiction of the travels of people.
Ahmed, what are we trying to accomplish with this festival? What's the ultimate goal?
Friendship.
100%?
100%. Culture. You
Cultural
gotta-
exchange.
Of course. I want you to see me the way I am, not the way you hear about me. And I want to see you the same way. And I want to be able to communicate my message to you, and I want to listen to your message. And this is the basis of understanding and coexistence.
That's why I asked the question when we first started. Why has existence, our coexistence, been so successful
Because
here and such a failure at home?
here, maybe if you go back 100 years ago, you had the same problems we have now in the Middle East.
Yes.
We all come from the same, these are the same issues that...
So what you're dealing with is not
No,
immune
because
or isolated
it's
to
an
you.
extension of colonialism, settler colonialism, and imperialism, etc. So
we
we
don't-
share the values,
We don't-
we want to build. We're not people want to live, and we
On that high note, on that high note, we're gonna take a break. People want to live. That's a beautiful thing, by the way. Might sound simple, but on point. Be back right after this with Ahmad Hussein and Liz Goggins, the VI Palestinian Friendship Festival taking place this weekend at the Agriculture Fairgrounds. Be back right after this. And we're back here and analyze this and great conversation, educational, always whenever Ahmad Hussein makes some time to come talk with me here.
Anytime.
Of course, and of course Liz Goggins, who is nothing but love. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? So we're good with that. You know, I asked you a question earlier, and you tried to paint this broad brush that all Jews are the same. And I could remember in the immediate aftermath of what happened in October of 2023, there was a leader, it was a female. She came by a hospital, and because I think at the time Israel had a coalition government.
You're saying that I said that
No.
all Jews are the same?
No. Just not when you. And I said when you painted a broad brush. You said as it relates to how they feel about Palestine.
That's Israelis, not Jews.
Israelis. Israelis.
You see, you're falling into that.
No.
Israelis.
I misspoke. I didn't fall into it. I misspoke. Right. And the reason why I'm using this example is one of the leaders came to a hospital, and the doctors ran her away from the hospital. They were literally blaming them for what happened in October, right? Blaming an Israeli, right? So that's why I try not to apply the broad brush as if everybody is the same, right? America, no, hold on a second. America, we've had, our ancestors were brought here from Africa, and the slave trade was what it was in America, right? Let me give you a perfect example, right? And this is my research, right? One of the founding fathers, not high level, but founding fathers was Benjamin Rush. And I'm going to read something that he said. He said, "I cannot help contemplating a sugar maple tree with a species of affection and even veneration, for I have persuaded myself to behold in it the happy means of rendering the commerce and slavery of our African brethren in the Sugar Islands," talking about us, right? This is the 1700s we're talking about, "as unnecessary as it has always been inhuman and unjust." In other words, not all white people were in support of what was being done to my ancestors. And that's the reason why I use that example, because when I made this statement to you, right, you said at the end of the day, all of them gonna hold one hand. That's how I interpret what you're saying.
No.
So correct me in that regard.
When I say something, I have the burden of proving it.
Okay.
The Knesset.
You're talking to my audience, so you're talking about the current governing government.
Israeli parliament.
Yes.
Okay. Look at their new legislatures, from the death sentence to Palestinian prisoners, from annexing the West Bank, from, and look at the people, how they vote, and look and tell me if the opposition and the people in power are not on the same page on the issues when it comes to the Palestinian territory.
So
the West Bank and Gaza.
Let me ask the question this way: Is there a percentage of the Israeli population that does not buy into what the Netanyahu government?
There is. You read the book The General's Son by Miko Pilid?
No, I haven't.
Miko Pilid is more Palestinian than I am. Okay, if you read and you listen to,
Who is Miko Pilid?
He is an Israeli son of an Israeli general. Okay, and very
support Palestinians,
of course, to the bone, and is against the Jewish Voice for Peace. Gedon Levy.
So there is a percentage of Israelis.
Yes, but these are not a vast majority of them. Some of them do not have the guts to go back to Israel. More, just like a Palestinian, they will arrest them on the spot. Yeah, because of what they say. None of them is, but they are very vocal and they express their positions.
So that's another example of why I say
Yeah.
We can't relate to what's taking place in the Middle East because we actually have the freedom of speech.
But when
and
we
voice.
are talking about the vast majority, there is look at what settlers are doing. What is the government doing about the settlers?
I
You
agree.
know,
About
it happens when they allow. They are listen. We have a problem with the mentality of
global leadership or just American leadership.
God's chosen people. God chose them to kill the ones He did not choose, in their view. Okay, this is and
That's a Zionism.
yes,
Yeah.
that's how it is. But they manipulated the religion. They, most of the books they are operating from now is man written. It's not the word of God. God chose me over you. The differentiation between me and you is whose faith is better. That's how God.
That's how they want to paint it.
Yeah, but they
globally.
paint it. No, they're chosen, and everybody else is
Not-
subhuman.
correct.
So yes, maybe they disagree on their issues, but to them the Palestinian issue is a given. We are subhuman. We don't have the right to exist.
But we are seeing global leader with nations, right? At least a willingness to accept Palestine as a state. You must give them credit.
And
political will to make it happen.
We are
that's
thankful.
the next step.
We are thankful, and we're waiting to see the political will.
I like that. Liz, you want to say something?
Yeah,
Because I got a question for one of my listeners.
Going back to what you said earlier about the Virgin Islanders here and the Palestinian community have always gotten along, and I heard that
Not perfect, but
better
predominantly
than most,
gotten along.
better
Yeah.
than most,
Oh, yeah.
probably. And I heard the number of stories which I found fascinating that when in the early '60s, when a number of the Palestinian population first came here, a lot of salesmen, and they would sell things to families, go door to door, but the families wouldn't have to pay right then. The people would come back and get payment and over time. And I think that built a trust
Yes.
between the communities, that, hey, because you hear sometimes, these salespeople, they want to rip us off. But there was trust between the salesperson, the Palestinian gentleman, and the local community. And I think that expanded.
That's a good point. For me, right, my connection is with the Saleh family.
Yeah.
Right? Abdel, Barakat, Saleh, right? Tongue and Country, Unique, all of them, right?
Unique shop.
Unique shop, right?
I remember
All of
those.
them. So we all have our personal relationships, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want the public to think that I'm just talking based on, what I read and all that stuff. I grew up with Shahada and Samir and all of them, and I still in pain with what happened to Gunther, right? At the
Gunther, yes.
at the gas station there by Grove, you know what I'm saying? Consumer gas station, you know what I'm saying?
Consumer, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we, they've been Siri Ahmad, that's my boy, you know what I'm saying? And we learn to live with one another, and it's rough. I got a question. I mean, you could break this down. Martin Neville, who makes up Hamas? What nationality of people, and what is their motive and objectives in Palestine, based on your how you see it?
Hamas is originally is a religious movement that was established in the late 80s during the beginning of the first Intifada, which is the Palestinian uprising. It's tied to the Islamic Brotherhood. The movement was, during the establishment of the Oslo peace process was fairly young, but it is a religious movement that is struggling for the liberation, at least what they say, for the liberation of Palestine. On the other hand, it has refused to join the PLO. It has been part of the Palestinian disunity in the cause because they are outside of the legitimate legal body.
Recognize.
Yeah, they're not part of the PLO. They are not part of the Palestinian formal body. Okay, and you were saying something about October 7th and Egypt notified Netanyahu. Israel does not need anybody to notify
I know that.
her.
I know that.
Okay,
But-
Israel.
But intel is intel.
Israel was delivering $30 million a month
To Hamas.
to Hamas in Gaza, and at the same time withholding the taxes of the Palestinian people in the Palestinian Authority, which is came into existence as a part of the internationally backed peace process and is established by the Palestinian formal legal body.
The word you're talking about is
So
corruption.
so the people for peace, you choke in them, and the people that you are calling terrorists because you painted that picture of them, because behind that you want to erase Gaza, and behind that you want to demonize people. Now, we don't agree with that form of, Hamas has been a very big problem because it refuses to come to the Palestinian formal body. Okay, and they use it whenever
The
they
PLO
need it.
is who represents Palestine in the United Nations.
In the United Nations and all over the world. And
Let me ask this question. Looking back at it 10, 15 years later, did the Arab Spring meet what it ultimately wanted to accomplish?
for whoever planned it, some sort, they got the disorder and the political unrest.
Was it more superficial than substantive?
Very superficial, and it started. The Arab Spring started in Palestine when.
Well, that's unfortunate because the Arab Spring that I know of was in Tunisia.
What they call Arab Spring, it ain't no Arab Spring.
When I educated man.
No.
Hold on a second. I'm just because it looked like you got to come back so we could continue this discussion because it's so good. But I know it in sitting down. I sitting down with Solomon breaking it down for me. He said when an educated man can't even get work within the government, and he trying to sell fruit and being harassed by the authorities, he burned himself. That was in Tunisia, right? That was the actual act that actually sprung. That's where the spring came from. And just listening to that, right, on the surface, and it's not isolated to him, but when someone believes that, what's the sense of me living if I can't even provide for my family? That's a legitimate question.
It is a legitimate question, and when you talk about the Arab Spring, in our belief, it started, or what is so-called the Arab Spring.
Long before the Tunisia incident.
It started with the division when Hamas hijacked Gaza and took it out of the Palestinian consensus. Okay? That was the start.
No, I like.
Okay.
No. I like the way you said it.
No. After that came Tunisia and Egypt and
I like the way you said it. They took it out of the Palestinian consensus. I like the way you say that. Check this out. Yeah, when you come, you educate me all the time. I loving it, right? But let me focus quickly for the last minute. Saturday, agriculture fairgrounds.
Sunday.
11 o'clock.
Sunday. And last time you didn't join us,
Sunday.
so
I had a
know.
previous obligation. I don't have one this week, so I don't have any excuse. Okay.
11 a.m. is the workshop.
Workshop 11 a.m.
The festival.
And then friendship is 12 o'clock.
12 o'clock, and there's vendors, there's local.
The last one was
fo-
at St. George's, right? You had
Yes.
it at St. George's.
St.
right?
George's last year,
yeah.
We have local vendors, local food, entertainment, Classic Touch, Tohobi and Pio, and then we have the We Day Yia quadrille dancers. We've got the I'm not even going to try and say the name. We have the Dapka dancers coming down, the Palestinian dancers, and this is going to be spectacular because, with We Day Yeah, at the end, they dance with members of the audience.
That's right,
So
guys.
does the Palestinian group.
You're looking
They-
forward to, I could see it in your face. You're looking forward to this on Sunday, man.
Right.
I like the friendship.
Yeah, man.
We need to have a good time.
You're coming back to help educate me some more on this, because you're a teacher, you're a professor.
No, man.
You're good. You're good.
You know,
You're good.
it's just
But I like the terminology, the Palestinian consensus.
the unity.
The unity,
The unity.
and it can't work if there isn't a commitment.
And I just
to that.
want to say something
Real quickly, because
very, very quickly. For example, you came back to the act that ignited the issue in Tunisia.
Yeah.
That was a pure act, but at the end, where did
That's what
the
I asked the
direction?
question.
Yeah,
That's the question I
where
asked.
did it go, and who?
That's
And
what-
is it a spring or not a spring?
That's our next discussion.
God spare life.
Thank you, Ahmed Hussein. Good to see
Thank
you.
you.
And thank you, Liz
Likewise,
Goggins, for all you do.
likewise.
Appreciate that. And thank you to the St. Croix Foundation. Kids come tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Be good, be safe. Talk to you then.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.